You know, when you think about holograms, what comes to mind? Is it Princess Leia, right? Her little distress call in Star Wars? Or maybe it's Tony Stark, swiping his hands through the air, designing his suit? For decades, that stuff has been the ultimate symbol of the future. Well, guess what? That future isn't just science fiction anymore. It's really here, and it's poised to change, well, pretty much everything. So let's get into it.
So here's what we're going to cover in this explainer. We're going to start by separating sci-fi from reality. Then we'll dive into the actual science of light to see how this stuff works. After that, we'll look at the holographic marketplace, because yes, it's a real thing, and then we have to talk about the tricky part, our digital ghost and the ethics of it all. Finally, we'll look at what this all means for the future, for this new spatial era.
Okay, so let's start with what most of us think of when we hear the word hologram today. We've all seen the headlines, right? Tupac's incredible resurrection at Coachella, or these virtual pop stars selling out entire stadiums. But the big question is, are those performances actually using real, honest-to-goodness holographic technology? Well, the short answer is no. Not even close, actually. Most of what you see on stage is a really, really clever theatrical trick that goes all the way back to the 19th century. It's called Pepper's Ghost. And essentially, it's just a 2D image being reflected onto a transparent screen that's angled just right. It looks three-dimensional, but it's an illusion. True holography, now that's a whole different ballgame. It's something far more complex, way more fascinating, and it involves the fundamental physics of light itself. So what is it that makes a real hologram so different? Well, it's not about projecting an image onto a surface. Not at all. It's about literally recreating the light that would have bounced off an object as if that object was still physically there in the room with you. It's about capturing reality itself in all three dimensions. And here's the key idea. A photograph, it's like a snapshot. It captures what something looks like from just one angle. But holography is fundamentally different. It records the entire light field. Imagine all the light bouncing off an object in every single possible direction. That's what it's capturing, and that's what preserves the depth, the parallax. How an object's appearance shifts when you move your head. It captures all the visual cues our brains use to perceive the world in 3D.
Now, the process of making one sounds super complicated, but you can really break it down into 4 main steps. First, you take a single laser beam and you split it in 2. One of those beams, you call it the object beam, shines on the thing you want to record. The other beam, the reference beam, gets aimed directly at a special photographic plate. Now here's the magic. When the light that's bouncing off the object also hits that plate, it collides and interferes with the reference beam, creating this unique, incredibly detailed pattern. And that pattern, that is the hologram. To bring the image back, you just shine that original reference beam back onto the plate, and poof, the 3D object just reappears in space.
So let's talk a little more about this pattern. It's called an interference pattern. The best way to think about it is like ripples in a pond. When 2 light whales meet and their peaks line up, they get brighter. That's called constructive interference. But when the peak of one wave meets the valley of another, they cancel each other out, creating a dark spot. That's destructive interference. This unbelievably complex, microscopic pattern of light and dark is literally the code that stores all the information for a 3-dimensional object onto a 2-dimensional surface. It's amazing.
And this quote just brilliantly illustrates the magic of holography. It's one of my favorite ways to explain it. Think about it. With a photo, you put it in half, you get half a picture. Simple. But because every single point on a holographic plate has recorded light from every point on the object, any piece of the hologram still contains the whole image. You can break it into tiny pieces, and if you look through any one of those pieces, you'll still see the entire scene, just from a slightly different angle. It's like looking through a smaller and smaller window.
All right, so this technology, which really began as a theoretical concept in a physics lab, is now making a huge move. It's stepping out of the laboratory and right into the global marketplace. This is not just for science experiments anymore, folks. It is becoming very big business.
And when I say big business, I am not kidding. Just look at this number. The market for just holographic communication is projected to climb to nearly 30, that's billion with a B, dollars by the year 2035. That is a staggering figure. And what's fueling all this? Well, it's a perfect storm of huge advances in AI, super fast 5G networks, and this whole new field of spatial computing. All of it is converging to make seamless, real-time holographic interaction an actual reality.
And just look at the sheer range of applications here. We're talking healthcare, where surgeons can consult with life-sized 3D anatomical models. In the business world, teams spread across the globe can collaborate as if they're in the same room. It's popping up in automotive design, in aerospace and defense, in education, retail, you name it. Holography is creating entirely new ways for us to visualize information, to communicate, and to interact with the world.
Okay, but as with any powerful disruptive technology, the rise of holography brings up a whole host of really profound ethical challenges. As we start creating these incredibly realistic digital versions of ourselves, we have to stop and ask some very, very serious questions.
And this is where things get really heavy. See, this technology doesn't just capture a simple image. It captures a person's three-dimensional likeness, their mannerisms, their movements, their very presence. And as this study from Linnaeus University points out, if this technology is misused, it could seriously endanger fundamental human rights, especially things like privacy and data protection. The data that makes up your holographic self is unbelievably detailed and uniquely, deeply personal.
Which, of course, leads us right to this critical and kind of chilling question. Who owns your holographic double? Who owns your digital likeness? Is it you? Is it the company that created the scan? Can it be used in ads or movies without your consent? And what about after someone's gone? Can a deceased person's hologram be made to say or do things they never would have? These aren't just philosophical debates for a sci-fi movie anymore. They are urgent, practical issues we need to figure out, and we need to figure them out now.
So, with all of these amazing applications and these really serious ethical questions on the table, where is all of this headed? Well, holography isn't just a gadget or a standalone product. It's actually a key component of the next massive evolution in computing, what people are calling the spatial era. It's an era where digital information finally breaks free from our flat screens and starts to exist in the world right alongside us.
I absolutely love this analogy from the team at Looking Glass because it just clicks. Think about it this way. Virtual reality, or VR, is like scuba diving. You are completely submerged in another world. It's incredible, it's fully immersive, but you're also kind of cut off. You need all this gear. Then there's augmented reality, AR. That's more like snorkeling. You can still see the real world, but you've got this layer of digital information laid on top of it. It's less intrusive. But holographic displays, they say that's like swimming. The barrier to entry is almost zero. No headset, no goggles. The digital content is just there in the room with you, and everyone can experience it together, naturally.
And you know, this journey has been a long time coming. The actual theory was conceived by Dennis Gabor way back in 1947, but it was just a theory. It wasn't actually practical until the invention of the laser in 1960. Gabor eventually won the Nobel Prize for his work, and after decades and decades of slow development, we're now at a point where we're seeing this tech appear in everything from luxury car dashboards to mainstream communication tools, all because of that convergence of AI and high-speed networks that's making it commercially viable.
And that really brings us to our final thought. As this technology gets more and more woven into the fabric of our daily lives, that line between our physical self and our digital self is going to get blurrier and blurrier. And it forces us to ask a really deep question. When our digital ghost can appear anywhere in the world, can interact in real time, and can maybe even live on long after we're gone, what does it truly mean to be real?